fantastic episode of G.A.M.E. I am your beautiful host, Megashawn, here at, I can't really say where I'm at, but I am where I am and we are where we are. I have to my left the great Dr.
Fuji
and the Mad Titan himself, Kenshiro. Today, we are going to be talking about video games and the developers and what has happened to them. You know, what's going on. So, fellas, Game On. Oh, also be sure to hit us up on Gmail. Hit us up at Gmail at gameshowchat@gmail.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Fellas, Game On.
video game companies nowadays.
Hey, hold on a second. Is there a problem with my beautiful comment?
Beautiful, man? No, what? Never mind. Let's just go.
Carry on.
Well, as going back to the action, video game companies nowadays, we know they want to make money. They're established because they've been around for about 40 years.
Business.
Some of them, it's a business. And we get that you want to provide what you guys think is the best product available. Now, in saying that, it means you guys don't take any risks. We got these games that come out year after year after year because you know it's gonna give you, the money back.
Mad.
But, and you see in the trend nowadays that they're trying to do is these independent game developers, but when you see these independent game developers making these retro games, they do not utilize any of the power that you guys are putting in there.
Right.
And so, it's kind of like this here, or is it that there? It's like if you want originality, you're going to get these old school retro type games because you're not going to get a beautiful looking,
right,
like what Watch Dogs should have been looking like game
man,
at a budget, team putting that together. It's just not going to happen. And I get that, but at the same time, it's just like, you kill some franchises that were successful and you keep ones that just keep going, and you can tell by sales that, some of them are dropping. It's just like, let's
let them die.
Let them die or do so. I mean, it's not, some companies like, you and I discussed Nintendo, they don't let the franchise die. I mean, besides Kid Icarus, they brought him back once.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to your point, like you had said, with them kind of milking their franchises and moving forward, now they, at E3, they announced that new Toad game. I mean, if you had asked me 20 years ago when I first played the NES game, would ever have a game where Toad was the main character, I would say,
He's just not interested.
Right, he's not interesting. But, of course, they're going to go ahead and do it, and I don't know, like you had said before, with them milking these franchises and now moving towards these indie developers, and, is it, I have to wonder, is it more that are they trying to capture a sense of nostalgia? Are they just more passionate about the game? Because, maybe the game publishers need to be asking themselves this,
Well, if you look at, what's his name, Steve Ballmer, the guy that used to run Microsoft, you see he clearly wasn't a guy who was a gamer.
Right.
So that's when you kind of had that decline. And then now you have somebody who, I'm not sure if he plays games or not, but he has an idea of what Xbox or what Microsoft should be doing when it comes to their consoles.
But it's more indicative than just, one company. It seems to be everybody. Like look at Capcom and how they're milking, Street Fighter, as far as, DLC and, us having to pay for characters, having to pay for costumes, whereas we used to, have to use our skill and maybe a little bit of time and actually unlock a lot of those things, or even going a little further, like when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came out on the Dreamcast, and we used to have to, either pay for, not pay for.
It was in the arcade.
It was in the arcade, but they were all on a time release where we, everything was already there, and we just had to wait in order to get it.
Oh yeah, you did have to open them up on Dreamcast, but you had to play through them.
Right, you had to have to play through them, and you go through the store and you buy
having to buy all those characters?
That would have been crazy. Yeah.
Well, but you mentioned Madden and Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're milking it is because you guys are going to continue to buy.
Yeah.
And as far as cost goes, to add a character won't be as, pricely as adding a whole new type of game. And then with that same new game, you're going to take a risk. They know that you guys are going to buy Street Fighter. They know you guys are going to, or not you guys, but they know that somebody's going to buy Madden. Right. And if you notice in each of those games, there's always something minute. There's never a drastic change in any of them. And I think the only way to, show them that you're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna take it anymore is to
Not buy it.
correct.
Yeah.
But nobody's gonna do that.
That is very true. And let me real quick. The most egregious example of that to me was the Xbox One's Killer Instinct. It was like, what'd you get? How many characters did you get?
It was
It's
free,
not
if
enough.
I remember. Wasn't it like
It was
two?
free. You got Jago,
Saberwolf and Jago.
Yeah, you got Saberwolf and Jago, and then you had to, if you didn't buy the whole game, you had to buy each character. I'm like, how ridiculous is that?
I mean, I understand what they were going at because, like, okay, for example, when we play fighting games, most people tend to stick to one character. Now, though they're force feeding you Jago and Saberwolf, and the people who are like, oh, I'm not buying this, I'm going to learn Jago, then they're satisfied. But like you were saying, I mean, you could have bought the whole thing. I think it was like $20 and you get everybody. So
okay, I mean, I guess in that case, it's a minimal purchase, but still, like if we take a look at these new releases, they're not getting you excited. Like, are you excited to play the new Madden when it gets ready to come out?
I'm not excited about anything.
Right, I don't care.
I'm excited about the retro stuff.
Right, I'm more excited about that.
See, now with the retro stuff, and it goes back to the indie stuff, is that you would have maybe 10, 11 guys in a room putting something together that they are passionate for.
They love.
It's going to cost a lot less, whereas you have 1,000 guys, some aren't even in the same building, let alone the same country. So you have too many cooks in the kitchen. One guy wants to make steak, the other guy wants to make chicken, but there's only one oven.
Right.
So you continuously have this problem. So they're like, you know what, forget it. Let's just add 2 assault rifles, add a guy who throws fireballs out of his butt, and then let's push it up.
You bring up a very good point, about having, basically development teams that are not in the same room or,
like
maybe
a whole
across
different
country,
exactly.
Something like that. Are the game companies just getting too big?
Yeah.
It's like when you look at, there used to be back in, when we were growing up, not to be dating ourselves, but there used to literally be like maybe 20 or so really good developers. EA wasn't this gargantuan juggernaut that was making, a whole bunch of games. They had their...
They actually took risks.
Right, and they took risks, and then, and it actually usually used to
Remember
pay
the
off.
Strike series?
Oh, yeah.
How come EA hasn't brought back the Strike series? I mean, all they're doing, they bought BioWare, if I remember correctly, so there are going to be more Mass Effect games because Mass Effect sells.
Right.
But for the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo game, those Strike series, for who doesn't know about the Strike series, there's like Nuclear Strike and Soviet
Desert
Strike.
Strike.
There were Desert Strike. There was different ones that were helicopter-based action games.
Yep.
Why not bring that series back? I mean, there's the Mutant League football. They keep doing regular.
Well, as far as Mutant League football, you're going to have parents lined up.
Who cares about that?
This is the society that we live in.
And it has not gone away.
Well, that's because it's been here. You try to bring something back, especially with the graphics that we have now.
Zombies are all over the place.
Yeah, they are.
In Mutant League, they were like zombie-like characters.
Yeah.
I think it could work, and I think it'd be awesome. You tackle somebody and their freaking body parts or something. I don't know.
Who's going to buy that?
People who used
So
to
let's say it takes, we'll go $400 million to make Mutant League football. Who? How are they going to get that money back? No, I'm just saying. Like, I'm just saying
they sell the game. I mean, it
not
like
as a
huge
gamer,
risk.
right? But I'm saying, but don't look at it as a gamer. Think about it about that guy who they hired in regards to checks and balances. Do we bring this back and take this risk? Because if they don't buy the game, I'm out of a job.
That's the thing is,
and everybody's out of a job.
I understand that
understand the
completely.
business part.
I understand the business part of it completely, but there's going to be a breaking point. I mean, the video game industry crashed in the early 80s because there was too much crap coming out. People were just shoveling it out there. Oh, one guy needed to program a game, didn't have to do music. Yeah. One guy did. Ooh, I can program, there's a game coming out.
So in a way, it is kind of returning to those days where it's like a whole bunch of crap's coming out. Nothing really quality is really coming out.
That's what it needs. They need somebody like a Nintendo, how they were in the 80s, saying, look, this game's good enough to come out. This game's not good enough to come out. And there's no checks and balances like that.
The old
now.
Nintendo seal
of approval. But there's nobody doing that. And that's the thing is, like, they say our game is already magnificent because the first one sold well, so the fifth one is going to sell well. Quick question then,
because it's time's coming short. We got to get up out of this place. As far as Nintendo goes, would you say that they would be the only company to still keep it real?
Because they don't do that.
Because they still have the same games they had, and people are continuously buying them.
Real quick, Nintendo does that with their games, even though they are just pushing out the same thing, different coat of paint, same game.
Right, but not like Call of Duty.
But for the third party, it's nothing like Call of Duty. I mean, Nintendo comes out with one Zelda game per generation. It seems like now maybe two.
All right, hold that thought. Lastly.
Well, I'd have to say I don't think Nintendo would be the best ones to do that. If I had to pick any company that would actually be willing to take risks, it'd probably be Take-Two.
Okay, all right.
You know, with them taking the massive risks that they did with the Grand Theft Auto series.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. You guys at home, let us know what you think. Are you feeling robbed every time you go to GameStop or Target or wherever to get a game? Be sure to, again, hit us up at Gmail, hit us up on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and check us out and like us on Facebook. Also, follow Culture Junkies. There'll be a hashtag somewhere. Got my man, the Mad Titan is what I'm going to call him, the great. And I am Mega Sean, the ever so dapper, because apparently beautiful isn't accepted in here. And see you guys later. I gotta go find some other place to hide.